voter registration card.
Well, they do now for you to sign in. So I really don't know what the problem. Well, because not everybody drives.
What
some
it comes
people
down
can't
to at the end of the
drive.
day, some form of ID. Because you're right. I think what Pumpkin Face is trying to say here is we're required to have ID to do things as simple as buy a pack of cigarettes.
Yeah.
But when it comes to one of the most important things in this country, now all of a sudden an ID is not important.
Now,
it doesn't make sense.
I have to break in here real quick.
Go right ahead, real quick.
The voter voting problem in this country. I'm very kind of different opinions than you guys are, because I don't actually believe that what you go and punch a vote in a voting machine actually gets counted, other than as suggestions by a paid electoral college. So
that's only you're talking about president. We can have that argument another time. But
we're talking about it the same here at the state level
no,
too.
No, that's not how it works.
Okay, well, tell me why. And this is just in my state, real quick, guys. In my state, Thad Cochran won, quote unquote, the popular vote in Mississippi for the Republican chair nomination. Right?
Now, wait a minute. The Republican chair
For
what?
the Republican Senate nomination.
To become senator.
Yeah.
Yes, to continue to be senator.
Yeah. Okay. So
McDaniels, I'm sorry, or McMichaels, I can't remember his damn name now.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, but he was actually the one that was favored to win by a landslide,
right?
Because everybody in this state wants this old creepy white guy out of our fucking chair at the Senate on Capitol Hill.
Right.
Don't want him anymore. He's completely doused this state on fire, and this state is pretty much as broke as it is because of him. And he somehow lost the election, or he won the election because they told Democrats to come over and vote when they're not supposed to vote in the Republican primary. They're supposed to vote in the Democratic primary. If you're registered as a Democrat, you vote Democrat. If you're registered as a Republican, you vote Republican. That's a law in this state. And they just allowed him to do it.
Well, now, I don't know if that's true of a general election. I know that's true in party elections. Democrats are not allowed to vote in Republican primaries. This was not a primary. You're talking about the election for the seat, the Senate seat. The general election, not a primary.
And that had nothing to do with districts. That had to do with...
It was a statewide vote of who we were going to put up for the Republican candidate.
That's a primary. That's what's called a primary.
It's still totally different than the Electoral College.
Yes,
I mean,
it's completely different. But that's the reason he got the nomination, so that he could run for Senate for that party. That's not. I don't know what the laws are, but if the law is that you can't vote, if you're Democrat, you can't vote in a Republican primary, then
that's all elections. It's in all general elections of the state public.
No, it's not.
Yes. That's the law here in Mississippi. That's what I'm telling you.
Maybe in general, do you know the difference between a primary and an election? Seriously.
Well, you may be going into deeper, yes. But what I'm saying is that here, if the public votes, whoever they're voting for, you have certain laws you have to fucking abide by.
Yes, that's true. And if that is true, then I blame the people of Mississippi for living in the shit that they're living in, if that's the way it is. Because if that's the case, then there should have been an uproar that they heard on Mars, if that were the case. And if they allowed it to happen, there's nothing you can do about it.
Well, we thought there would be an uproar, but there wasn't. Life just continues to go on somehow.
Is Mississippi a Democratic state? I don't know. I'm not up.
No, it's a very Republican state. The point is, the Republican that was, favored the most in the state by a lot did not win.
Well, then something happened, and you need to find out. I don't know what the story is. I really don't know much about it, so I can't really speak to it.
I covered it when it happened on my show. I'm just saying, for me, I feel like voting makes no difference because our votes go to somebody else.
That's just not true. I'm sorry, but that's just not true. It may not be a perfect system. It may be flawed in a lot of ways, but it's the best one we got at this point in time. Now, can it be improved? I'm sure it can be. But it's not as bad as you're making it sound to be.
You still feel that your vote counts then?
Yes, I do, immensely, yes. Because if I lose that faith in the vote that I have, this country becomes a piece of shit. There's nothing worth anything in this country anymore, if I believe that.
Do you think a diamond has any value?
Of course it has value, because people value it. If people didn't value diamonds anymore and decided to value lead instead, lead would be the biggest thing going.
Right, but lead nor diamonds have any equivocal value at all. Only
above them being diamonds and the want that people have for them? No, you're right.
I mean, that's pretty much. I mean, the diamonds.
What's that got to do with the vote?
Because I feel like the vote has no equivocal value to me, because it doesn't matter which way I vote every time.
Well, then
the opposite way.
Well, then we're going to have to change your mind about that, because that's not true. But if you start believing that and you keep telling people that and get other people to believe that's like a cancer that starts to grow. And if you have no basis for it, really, and you don't,
between two shiny turds, that's my problem.
Well, you can get all flimsical and mystical and all that kind of shit, but when it comes down to it, the vote counts. And until there's actual proof that it doesn't, and I'm sure there's proof out there somewhere, in some small county, I'm sure it happened, or in a city somewhere, I'm sure it happened where there are inequities. But to say, and until it's found that someone has actually taken those votes and not made them count. And again, if it did happen, and I'm not saying it didn't, and I'm not saying it did, but if it did happen and the people didn't rise up against it, then it's our fault.
And it has been for quite some time.
Yes, I mean, if that's the way you want to believe, then that's fine. But, I'm telling you, you're wrong. I'm telling you, you're wrong. And until someone shows me actual proof that it's happened, I have to believe in the vote. And even if it did happen, it doesn't happen all over the place. It's not like the voting system is in shambles, okay? It's not that bad. Not as bad as you're making it.
But remember what the old saying is, it takes a lifetime to gain respect. It takes 1 second to shatter it for an eternity, Once you
That's if you allow it to shatter. Of course, if you allow it to shatter, if you give in the way you're giving in, yeah, of course that's what happens.
The reason that I feel that way, though, is because I believe that the pillars that our democracy is founded upon has been shattered.
Well, it hasn't been shattered yet. That's what I'm saying. It hasn't been shattered yet. We still have a chance in this country to save what we had, to save our history, to save this country. And if you keep that defeatist attitude, that's what's going to take hold and shatter everything.
The only way that we can save this country right now is by replacing that which is our...
And I addressed that this evening. I said that this evening. Yes, everything must be changed, but you can't do it all at once. We can't get people to agree on voting. And you want to go in and change everything all at once. That's never going to happen. And you know that's never going to happen. Does it have to be done? Without a doubt. But you need a game plan. People need to start talking to each other and stop this bullshit about how bad the system is and how it doesn't work anymore and how this is no good and that's no good. And I don't believe in the vote anymore. It's talk like that discourages everybody. And before you know it, it's going to take hold without anybody knowing, and it's going to destroy this country. You have to believe in something. And the vote is where it starts, is all I'm trying to make you understand. Now, whether you believe it or not, again, that's up to you, and that's your free will. But I have to sit here and vehemently disagree with you. Because once I take on what you're saying, then I lose everything that I believe in this country. And at this point, it may just be a belief. But you know what? It's worth more than not believing. Because not believing gets me nothing. Absolutely nothing.
I don't remember if Rick has talked to me about this voting thing before or not, but is he even still there, or did he pass out?
No, I'm here. I'm listening.
And what say you, Rick? I don't know.
I just taking it all in. I kind of agree with both of you. If it comes to the presidential elections, I think they're a sham. I think the Electoral College is a problem. I think it's a problem. You got each side, lawyers on each side ready to sue over everything.
Mm-hmm.
Again, the Electoral College, I think, is the biggest fucking problem. The fraud, the chads, the broken computers, whatever. It's become a circus.
And that I will agree with. It has become a circus, but it's a circus we must all attend.
I just know that it's happened twice in my state in such a close amount of time as far as the mayor elections of my, mayor of my town this year. It was early this year. And then, of course, later on with the Republican race. The Republican seat nominee, whatever it is, right? Is that what the technical term is, right?
No, it depends.
You know how they're running for Senate this November, right?
They're running for Senate and the House of Representatives.
Right. So for the Senate nominee in our state, we had some voter scandal bullshit happen here. I mean, that was the whole story I was trying to say. So once it happens to you, it's like
let me put it to you like
this. It's like when my father found out that I stole $100 from his leather jacket in the back of the closet, you know? And I went and spent that on a couple of CDs and a Game Boy or something when I was real young. Little did I know, that that $100 bill was actually worth a lot more because it was, from back in the 1800s. You see what I'm saying?
No.
I don't either. I totally missed that.
I'd like to have one of them $100 bills from the 1800s.
I'm saying, though, you take a lifetime to build up respect. Once it's gone forever. You can never trust that system or that person the same way again. You understand?
So what you're saying is you'll never trust the American system again.
Maybe one day I will. Yeah, I have high hopes that America will 180 this bitch and come out of this entirety. But I just if the same people are going back into Congress as were before, and it's happened in my state and it's happened in a couple other states. It means nothing. It means everything that we've been talking about, everything we've been passionately screaming about and ranting about means nothing because nobody's actually going to do anything when it comes to the end game. It's the problem.
Yeah, but you're talking all ifs, buts, and maybes and hithertofores. And
Jay, there is no ifs, ands, or buts, buddy. We are in a shit pile here. The economy.
And if you keep my whole point is if you lose your the way you look at this and your faith in the country, we might as well just give it up now.
No.
Why even bother fighting?
Say it with me, Rick. Faith in the people. We, the people, have the power. It's just a problem that so many of us just don't realize what exactly needs to be done. And you know what? I have to go with what David Brocky said. Well, rest his soul. He did say it. We're going to have a peaceable exchange with Congress and the White House and the executive branch, but they're going to come out. They're coming out, whether we vote them out or not. They're coming out.
And what does that mean?
Gay marriages for everyone.
There you go.
No, I'm not with the Pope on that one. But he said that, right? Did you guys hear that shit? Pope was like, everybody just get married. Fuck it.
No, that's not quite what he said. I know. I didn't hear what he said, but I know that's not what he said. Okay? That's not what he said.
I'm sure it wasn't, why not let the gays get married, huh?
I don't know if you're being funny or if you just...
Let me wash your feet.
Yeah.
And next thing we know, all of the queers will be getting married. Oh, is that happening? It's okay. It's okay. He said something close to that.
I don't know what to say. Just for tonight's show.
I hope I am. I could stand the eating donuts forever thing. That would be awesome.
And on the 8th day, God said, let there be gays.
See, y'all are getting all religious on me.
I don't know. Damn.
Cross down, Rick.
Drinking this sacrilegious communion water stuff here for half the night now.
Oh, just half the night? Well, speaking of half the night, it's 1:15 already, and boy, time flies when you hate people. No.
I hate you.
See, Rick,
it
it doesn't come off right when I say it. I don't know. Rick says shit like that, and everybody cracks up. I don't know.